Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 339. We're going to hop across the pond today, and we're going to talk a little bit about Prince Andrew, aka the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, and his relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell, and what the deposition had to say about it. Now, we know how close they were. We know that Ghislaine Maxwell and Prince Andrew were so close that she had pretty much run of Buckingham Palace. She can go through the gates. They even had a picnic a stone's throw from the Queen's bedroom window. So it's not like they're just acquaintances. It's not like they're just people who happened to run into each other at the pizza joint in Woking. Okay? These are people with an established relationship, people who were close, and people who spent a lot of time together. And for the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family to play stupid and to act like the picture with Virginia never happened and to act like he never met her, but yet send an email to Ghislaine Maxwell on the sly, asking questions about this very same girl he claims he has never met. So, as you can possibly imagine, it does not pass the smell test. Prince Andrew, Ghislaine Maxwell, and the rest of the bipedal serpents have done nothing but lie and deceive this whole entire time. And now, when the facts are starting to come out, it's showing just how absurd their whole narrative was for so long. And what is even more absurd is the fact that the legacy media bought it hook, line, and sinker. Today, our article is from the Tatler. Headline: Prince Andrew asked Ghislaine Maxwell for information about Virginia Roberts. Newly released documents reveal that the Duke of York emailed Maxwell and said he wanted to ask some specific questions about his accuser. The author of this article is Hope Koch. And we talked about this a little bit. The Ghislaine Maxwell and Prince Andrew email is a big tell. It's a huge key in their relationship, right? It establishes that they still had contact. It establishes that he did, in fact, know Virginia Roberts when he says he didn't. And it also establishes the fact that he was concerned enough to ask some questions behind the scenes of Ghislaine Maxwell about Virginia Roberts. So the whole narrative that he doesn't know her, the whole narrative that Ghislaine has tried to pitch, it's just absolute BS. And it seems like every time more information comes out, another hole is blown in the official narrative. With new material having just been made public ahead of Ghislaine Maxwell's trial next year, the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family has also come under scrutiny once again, with the documents revealing that he asked Maxwell for information about his accuser, Virginia Roberts. It's a very important fact, that little tidbit. It's one of those pieces of evidence that ties them together. One of those bits of evidence that has the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family inquiring about a girl that was being trafficked by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Now remember, this moron says he doesn't know her. Ghislaine Maxwell said he doesn't know her. But yet, he's sending an email asking about her? Doesn't make sense to me. Roberts has alleged that she was groomed by Maxwell and kept as a teenage sex slave for Epstein, during which time she was made to have sex with Prince Andrew on 3 occasions. Both Maxwell and the Duke of York have denied the allegations, with the royal maintaining that he has no recollection of ever having met Roberts. Again, if you have never met Virginia Roberts, then how in the hell did that picture get snapped? Was it just a fake? I mean, it's such a good Photoshop that it fooled everybody, professional photographers, it fooled the FBI, forensic teams, it just fooled everybody, huh? No. That's the narrative you want people to believe, and you'll keep hammering it home, hoping that people pick up on it. But the problem is, you don't have any surrogates left in the legacy media, not because they care, but because they know they have to run for the hills. You're not going to get any of your favorable coverage anymore. But before all of this happened, how many times did we see favorable coverage? How many times did we see the legacy media avoid the topic altogether? I'm looking at you, Amy Robach and ABC. Maxwell is currently being held in prison in the U.S., awaiting trial on charges relating to her links with the late American financier and convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Maxwell has been accused of grooming girls as young as 14 to be abused by Epstein between 1994 and 1997, and of committing perjury by denying knowledge of his abuse in the 2016 deposition. She denies all charges. So if you've read the deposition now, I'm sure most of you have at least breezed through it a little bit. I have completed the whole thing finally. It looks like she perjures herself like 30 times, never mind 2 times. They probably, all kidding aside, no nonsensical hyperbole here, they probably could have gotten her on 5 or 6 counts of perjury if that's the route that they went. Because it's obvious she was lying when we have hindsight as a benefit to guide us. When we're Monday morning quarterbacking this, well, it's a lot easier to see how it all unfolded, to see the lies, the schemes, and the plots. The claims came to light yesterday in a New York federal court after an ongoing battle from Maxwell's lawyers to prevent their release, following the orders of District Judge Loretta Preska. The court documents reveal that Prince Andrew emailed the British former socialite, co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, general all-around scuzzbag, and bipedal serpent to seek information about Roberts, who was making underage sex claims against him. Roberts has alleged that she was first made to have sex with the prince when she was 17, below the age of consent in some U.S. states. Look, really, honestly, all kidding aside, I don't care. Even if she was of age, she was being trafficked. That's the biggest problem here, obviously. If you're trafficking children, that is the lowest of the low. But let's not forget, anyone being trafficked is heinous. It is absolutely unacceptable for there to be any form of modern-day slavery. I know it's more rampant. Modern-day slavery is more rampant than slavery has ever been in the history of man. But we can either accept it or we can stand up and say enough is enough. And I think people are starting to stand up and say enough is enough. This isn't just an issue for, people who have went through it. This is a society, an issue for all of society. This is an issue that affects all of us. How can we have any confidence in the people who are our so-called rulers if they're letting this go on, if they're being involved with people like Jeffrey Epstein? And when you look at the allegations laid by Virginia Roberts against Prince Andrew, even if you say she was 25 and making these allegations, it would still be as heinous if she was trafficked against her will. And people like Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and people like Prince Andrew, they don't even look at people like Virginia as human. She's just chattel to them. She's just a commodity to be sold and traded as if they were on Wall Street. And that's how they look at all of us. We're just plebes to them, peasants, not even worthwhile. The newly released transcript was of a 2016 court deposition made by Maxwell during a defamation suit brought against her by Roberts. It was subsequently settled out of court in 2017. The Times reports that the transcript reveals that Maxwell emailed the Duke of York in 2015, the day after she sent out a press release denying that she helped Epstein to traffic and abuse Roberts. So right away, she started with the damage control, letting her boy, Prince Andrew, know the score. Hey, look, Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, we have something coming down the pipe. It's not going to be good. Your name's going to be dragged into it. You better get ready. Maxwell wrote in the email to Andrew, have some info. Call me when you have a moment. To which the royal replied, let me know when we can talk. Got some specific questions to ask you about Virginia Roberts. Sure doesn't seem to be a guy that doesn't know her, huh? Very specific questions about somebody you don't know? Well, that's odd. How can you have such specific questions about somebody you don't know? They would have us believe that he never met her, that they have never been face to face, they have never associated. but we know that that's absolute bullshit. We know it's a lie. Not only do we have the picture, we have corroborating witnesses who have come forward stating that Prince Andrew, a.k.a. the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, was with Virginia Roberts on that island and elsewhere. When asked about what she and Andrew had discussed, Maxwell said, "Just what a liar she is," adding that the Duke had also said what a liar she is. Maybe Virginia should sue the Duke of York for defamation as well. That would be something, huh? Suing that scumbag? Roberts alleges she was flown to London by Epstein to meet Joe Exotic of the Windsor family at Tramp nightclub in 2001 before returning to the bipedal serpent's London home, where she was made to have sex with the royal. I mean, what about that sounds out of left field considering everything that we know about Jeffrey Epstein? What about that seems off? Nothing. It's exactly how they conducted themselves. How many different girls have come forward with those same sorts of stories? Maybe not with Andrew, but with other people that they were trafficked to via Jeffrey Epstein. Maxwell stated in the 2016 deposition that Joe Exotic of the Windsor family had visited her Mayfair home but denied the sex allegation. She told lawyers, "What I'm representing is that her entire ludicrous and absurd story of what took place in my house is an obvious lie," adding, "She claimed things took place in my bathroom in London. Her characterization is just not possible." What? How is it not possible? So, do you have some kind of special tub where two people couldn't get in it? I don't care if the tub is small. What does that have to do with anything? Not like people are stretching out in the tub when they're having relations, right? So, I don't understand what she means that it's impossible for that to happen. Such BS, it's just not possible. Yeah, right. You know it, we know it, Prince Andrew knows it, and the whole entire world knows it. She stated that she did not remember if Roberts had stayed at her home, whether the then-teenager had joined Maxwell, Epstein, and the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family for dinner, or if she herself had taken her shopping for an outfit to wear to meet the prince. Imagine that disgusting shit. This gross bipedal serpent has this young girl out shopping for an outfit that the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, a.k.a. the Duke of Pork, would like. These are sick people, folks. These are the sickest amongst the sick. And to them, it's normalized behavior. They don't think there's anything wrong with it. Maxwell said, "I do not have any recollection of it, and I doubt it actually happened. Her tissue of lies is extremely hard to pick apart. What is true and what isn't. Actually, I wouldn't recollect her at all, but for her tissue stories about this situation." Oh, it's such lies. What about all of the pictures that she's provided at Zorro Ranch, at the island, elsewhere? You were there the whole time, G-Max. You bipedal, fork-tongued serpent woman. So who do you think you're BSing? You're not BSing us. We're not buying it. So who do you think you're trying to win to your side? I mean, besides the Alan I kept my underpants on Dershowitzes of the world, who in the hell do you think you're going to convince with your BS? She also expressed skepticism about a photograph of Andrew with his arm around Virginia's waist while Maxwell is visible in the background, which was allegedly taken at Maxwell's home after the group returned from Tramp. So, even when there is photographic evidence, folks, even when there is evidence right there for you to look at, tangible evidence for you to stare at and say, holy shit, these people will lie to you. These people think that they're so much better than you, that they're so much above you, that even when the evidence is there before you, that you'll believe their lies instead of your own eyes. And for so long, that was the case. And with the collaboration they had from their lapdogs in the media, everything was all rosy for them. Well, now, the veil of secrecy has been pulled off, and we know what you were up to. We know the scumbaggery you were involved in, and you will not be able to gaslight us anymore. The Duke has claimed that he was with his daughter, Princess Beatrice, at a Pizza Express in Woking on the evening the alleged incident took place. Maxwell said, "We can't really establish the photograph. I don't know if that's a real picture or not." She said that the home in the photo looked familiar, but added, "She, Roberts, then characterized things took place in my bathroom in the bathtub itself. The tub is too small for any type of activity whatsoever." Okay, sure it is. Such an absolute lie. She stated that she did not remember whether Andrew went into a room alone with Roberts, and when asked if Andrew had ever told her that he had sex with the teenager, said that he did not. Oh yeah, so, of course. I mean, Ghislaine said it, so it's obviously the truth. We know that she is one of the most truthful people on the planet, that she has never lied, or perjured herself, or been involved in any sort of sex trafficking enterprise. So let's just listen to what she has to say. I mean, come on. Their whole entire narrative is just straight trash, and the fact that it was believed for so long is just mind-boggling to me. Absolutely mind-boggling. Maxwell accepted that the royal had been a guest at Epstein's U.S. Virgin Islands holiday home, Little St. James, saying that she had once been there when he visited. Oh, just one time, huh? That's it. Just one time when he visited? And you don't know if she went into a room alone with Prince Andrew? Come on, give me a break. You know because you set it in motion. You know because you set it up. You know because you took her out for a little outfit to wear, don't you remember? G-Max? She added, however, that she did not know if Roberts had been present, stating, "I have never, at any time, at any place, in any moment, ever asked Virginia Roberts, or whatever she is called now, to have sex with anybody." You know, see how disgusting she is, or whatever she is called now. She is just a vile human being. This is the sort of woman that never deserves to see the light of day again. She doesn't have any remorse, she has no compassion, and she certainly, most definitely, is not safe to be in our society. Roberts has also alleged that Maxwell and Epstein gifted the prince with a puppet of himself, like that used in the satirical TV show Spitting Image, which was used to grope Roberts and other women. Maxwell denied buying a puppet of the royal, but stated that there was a caricature of him in Jeffrey's home. She also said, "I have never seen anybody have sexual intercourse with Jeffrey, ever. I never saw any inappropriate underage activities with Jeffrey, ever." So, again, she's lying. We have witnesses, we have survivors themselves who say differently. That Ghislaine Maxwell was not only recruiting and grooming, she was also involved in the abuse. And we have also heard about this puppet numerous times, and not just from Virginia. She also said, "I have never seen anybody have sexual intercourse with Jeffrey ever. I never saw any inappropriate underage activities with Jeffrey ever. I never participated in anything with Virginia and Jeffrey. And for the record, she is an absolute total liar." So, if she's such a liar, why did you settle with her out of court, Ghislaine? Why didn't you let it go to court? Why didn't you let the courts decide what was what? You settled out of court, didn't you? Because you didn't want to go to discovery. You knew you would be put on blast. When Roberts' lawyer cited police documents suggesting that as many as 30 minors had been brought into Epstein's properties, Maxwell replied, "I did not count the number of girls, and I did not read the police report." Well, the good thing is, you have plenty of time to go back and read those police reports now, while you're sitting in your jail cell, enjoying your nice little outfit, your disgusting bologna sandwich, your little boxed juice. Yeah, plenty of time for you to read through them now, Ghislaine. The Times reports that all references to Prince Andrew by name were redacted from the published testimony. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit backed Judge Loretta Preska and ordered the release of the transcript. It was ruled that the names of third parties would be omitted. Where the royal was mentioned has been deduced, however, by referring to the document's alphabetical index. The Duke, who has not been charged with any crimes, reportedly declined to comment. Well, that's a shock. He'd have to leave his hole to comment. He'd have to get his handlers on board for that. And the legal team around him is not letting him talk to anybody. Elsewhere in the deposition, Maxwell was questioned about her personal relationship with Epstein, who died in prison in August 2019 while awaiting trial on further sex trafficking charges. When asked if she had been his girlfriend, she stated, "That's a tricky question. There were times when I would have liked to think of myself as his girlfriend, probably in the early 90s. A tricky question, huh? Of course it is, because you were never his girlfriend. You were associates, you were business partners, and all of that other shit was just a front. I am convinced of that at this point." Maxwell was employed by Epstein to help him run his properties, for which she stated that she had been paid between $100,000 and $200,000. She added that he had helped her buy a townhouse, thought to be a property in New York's Upper East Side, that she reportedly sold for $15 million. When asked why she had continued to stand by Epstein after he was imprisoned in 2008 for soliciting prostitution for a minor, Maxwell stated, "I'm a very loyal person, and Jeffrey was very good to me when my father passed away, and I believe that you need to be a good friend in people's hour of need." Wow. Okay, so your friend is a serial child molester, a rapist, a sex trafficker, and a money launderer, God only knows what else. And you're going to stand by him? That's the honorable thing to do? Because it's his hour of so-called need? No. You're standing by him because your fates were intertwined. Your fates were one and the same. And it was only a matter of time, Ghislaine Maxwell, that the authorities would catch up to you too. The Times adds that Maxwell became emotionally volatile during a 7-hour interview with one of Robert's lawyers, Sigrid McCauley, about her alleged involvement in Epstein's crimes. She reportedly shouted insults, struck the table, and called the claims a giant, fat, enormous, repulsive, disgusting, inappropriate, vile lie. McCauley replied, "I am going to put on the record that Miss Maxwell was very inappropriately and very harshly pounded our law firm table. I asked she take a deep breath and calm down." That's some solid advice from Sigrid McCauley, huh? Some unsolicited, uncharged advice. Probably not the best thing to do in a deposition. What, do you think you get mad like that proves that you're innocent or something? Come on, Ghislaine. Striking the table, acting the fool. Now in hindsight, when we all look back on it, it's par for the course considering what we've heard about your personality, about the way you conduct yourself, and how you treat people. Maxwell also refuted Robert's claim that she was 15 when the two first met, when the teenager was working as a masseuse at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida in the 90s. Maxwell said that Roberts was 17, again hitting the table and stating, "That is fake, a lie. That was perpetrated between all of you to make the story more exciting. Obviously, manifestly, absolutely, totally a lie." I mean, what? It's not a lie. It's a fact. How many young 15-year-old girls did you procure for Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine? How many 15-year-old girls did you help normalize the experience for, Ghislaine? So you can have all of the histrionics you want. You can pound all the tables you want. But it does not change the fact that you are as guilty as the day is long, in my opinion. The release of Ghislaine Maxwell's 2016 civil deposition comes following an ongoing legal battle fronted by the Miami Herald. The 418-page transcript was ordered to be unsealed after 2 courts ruled in spite of Maxwell's arguments against its release. David Boies, a lawyer for a number of Epstein's alleged survivors, stated, "This is only a small part. As the evidence comes out, it will be clear why Miss Maxwell and others who enabled Jeffrey Epstein are fighting so hard to keep it concealed. As our client Virginia Roberts asserts, they did not act alone." And that's really what it comes down to. The whole entire gist of it. The whole entire situation. And that's really what it comes down to. They did not act alone. They couldn't have. They had help. They had friends in big-time spots with big-time finances to help them. They had friends in the political world to shield them. And they had friends, obviously, in the prosecutor's offices. But now, that well of friendship has run dry. Ghislaine Maxwell has been left twisting in the wind. And the rest of the operatives who worked with them, the Core Four, John-Luc Brunel, and others, well, you folks are directly in the crosshairs. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. Everybody who has donated to the PayPal account and helped the show out, I really appreciate you all. Thank you very much. All right, folks, we'll be back later on.